On today's episode of Titus and Tate, as first reported on this program, Tate, the NBA Finals are in fact over. But this time they are over because the Warriors blew the Celtics away. With Klay Thompson having a terrible game. It was the Warriors weren't even playing their best, and they made the Celtics wave the white flag. The white flag, of course, being Sam Hauser. And
he did wave at his parents. I think he saw in the crowd tonight.
So Klay plays like ass. Draymond gets a tech, which we've never seen that before. He was very obviously rattled, and the Warriors still blow out the Celtics. So I think it's fair to say that this series is over, right? Like the Warriors, they figured it out. Now they got Gary Payton the second back. It looks like the Warriors. No, I'm kidding. All this is obviously a joke, but the Warriors did the Warriors did win big, and we're going to talk about it today.
We are happy to report that there is at least a competitive series, we think, that has happened in the finals so far. Again, home court is back to the Boston Celtics, but we got a blowout, and now you can talk yourself into the idea that, hey, maybe the Warriors are dominating the series minus one quarter, right, Titus? That is the conversation.
Great question. Or were the refs dicking over the Celtics, Tate?
Yes,
because you could argue that.
The Celtics did get dick tonight.
There's a lot to suss out. Among which is who is him, Tate? This is a quest that you and I went down early in the playoffs, trying to figure out if Ja Morant was in fact him. I think we settled on it's a little too soon to call Ja Morant him. We toyed with the idea of maybe Jordan Poole being him. Then Jordan Poole kind of disappeared. Jordan Poole came back in a very big way, a very loud way.
Yes.
He played like garbage most of this game, if we're being completely honest. But he hits the half court shot, and it had me thinking he might be him. So we have to talk about this because they are giving away now in the NBA. They're giving away a trophy to every single player that participates in the finals. We know this.
Mm-hmm.
They just every time you hit refresh on your internet browser, Tate, there's a new announcement of a new trophy that exists in the NBA. So I think you and I should be behind the most valuable him of the NBA Finals, and we have to start doing the MVH watch right now because Jordan Poole commands that.
Absolutely. And always has been a him. You know what I mean? From day one, we saw him. We said, oh, my God, he's one of those ones. And we were correct. You know what I mean? And now we see him on the biggest stage. And he's officially splash certified. That shot that he hit, that 39-foot shot, that was guaranteed, verified. He is a splash. Cousin, maybe not a brother, but he's in the family.
We will talk about that. We're also going to talk about Quinn Snyder resigning. What is the ripple effect in the Titus and Tate universe, which is to say, where does he land on the Coach K successor power rankings?
Wow.
Will Danny Ainge hire Brad Stevens now? A lot of questions that are of note to you and I. Maybe we talk about that a little bit. The finals are underway. This is an exciting time, Tate. We actually have a real life finals. It is not a Boston Celtics sweep like I was worried was going to happen after the fourth quarter the other night.
The reason it didn't happen, I will say, is today I had a friend of mine, Katie, shout out to Katie, a Celtics fan. Her and her boyfriend both told me Celtics sweep. And as soon as they said that to me, I was like, they're too cocky. They're too high. And luckily the basketball gods delivered. So here we are.
We're going to talk about game 2 and a lot more. But first,
Woody Durham.
all right, the Warriors, Tate, even up the NBA Finals, win game 2. This is I'm going to start with a little opening monologue and say this, that the Jordan Poole played like garbage for most of this game. I said this at the top. I stand by it, which if you've been listening to the show for a long time, you know that I say this lovingly. Like, this is part of the Jordan Poole experience, is watching him just make bad decision after bad decision. Watching him, like, not just throw the ball all over the place, but like force it on offense, not play any defense whatsoever. But then he gets hot. And that's the other part of the Jordan Poole experience that keeps you coming back is Jordan Poole hitting the half court shot. And Steph was not like obviously the first quarter was the put it in the time capsule. This is what Steph Curry can be at his absolute best type stuff. He wasn't that tonight, but he was still had some moments where you're like, again, like I said on the last show, like when Steph hits these shots, they feel like they should be worth more than 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say, man, the Warriors are hateable. They're definitely hateable. Draymond Green is not a likable basketball player. And I look forward to the 4-part podcast that he puts out explaining why he is in fact likable and how he's misunderstood by everybody,
Yes.
and that you're all wrong for thinking that I'm the asshole for like instigating everything. But then
you're sitting there and you're like, you're kind of yelling at me like an asshole.
Yeah. It's like, dude, I'm not even saying you're wrong. I'm just saying you're an asshole. Like, you are right to instigate. Like, it is good plays, but you're still an asshole. And he's like, why does that make me an and I
Izzo, though, being there in our universe. That was good to see Izzo in the building. He was awesome. Luck. Much more luck than Mr. K, if we're saying who's luck and who's bad luck.
But watching Jordan Poole kind of pick up the mantle that Klay Thompson seemed to have dropped tonight, and
literally
as of late, as the second Splash brother, and watching Steph hitting
tonight.
Oh, dude, I know. And watching Steph hit crazy shots, there's been a sense, Tate, as my 35th birthday approaches, that the midlife crisis is setting in, Tate. I'm watching the NBA finals. I'm watching guys flop all over the floor. I'm watching them bitch at refs. I'm watching travels go uncalled. I'm watching, they throw a commercial and there's a new Minions movie. I didn't even know the Minions were real. Like, I watched Despicable Me 1, the first one. I saw it. And then like all the stuff about the Minions since then, I thought we were joking as a society. And then I found out tonight that like we've been serious this whole time, and they've been putting out Minions movies.
It's like
they've been putting out full
one of the hottest
feature
IPs
films
in Hollywood. You know what I mean? There's a lot of.
I had no idea.
You have the Minions IP. Oh my god, you must be a billionaire.
So I'm seeing these commercials. I'm seeing the NBA
language. Mark Titus.
Yeah, dude, I'm seeing the NBA finals brought to you by Crypto.com and Metaverse, Quest, Oculus.
Yes.
I'm Mike Greenberg alongside Stephen A. Smith and Jalen Rose and Mike Wilbon. We're going to throw it to Mark Jones. And I'm like my eyeballs are bleeding as my ears are bleeding, as my head is spinning. And I'm saying to myself, Tate, what am I doing this for? What is the point of any of this? And then every so often you look up and Steph Curry's hitting insane shots. Jordan Poole's hitting insane shots. I will say Jaylen Brown was okay tonight, but Jason Tatum was hitting insane. Like, the whole point I was going to say is why when Steph and the Warriors are rolling, it makes it all worth it. It does make it all worth it. Like, it is an experience unlike anything else in basketball, which I'm not, like all these teams in the NBA hit a ton of threes now. Like, that's nothing new. It's just like I said on the last show, it's like something about the Warriors. Like, when they hit threes, you convince yourself they're worth 10 points because it's so much more fun for some reason. And it's the reason is Steph Curry, obviously, but yeah, there you go.
He's infectious. And Steph Curry is a lot like, he's Tim Duncan if Tim Duncan looked like a little boy out there. You know what I mean? Like, he affects the game in such a large scale. You know what I mean? Like, Steph Curry can be the number 1 option. He can also be the number 5 option. And he also can have a gravitas to a game that has an impact. And that's why when he does hit those playground shots, you're like, wow, I feel like I'm at recess, and I feel like I'm just watching this unbelievable show, and Steph Curry puts on a show, and like you said, it's fun to watch. 29 points in this game, 34 points in the first game, and as I was watching the game tonight, I was thinking to myself, the whole finals MVP talk about Steph Curry, I think his teammates are sandbagging, and we know that Eric Musselman obviously coached in the Bay, so there's a lot of sandbagging that happens up in the Bay Area. If you look at the stat sheet tonight, I mean, Klay Thompson, 11 points. Like I said, 4 for 19. He does nothing. Andrew Wiggins, 11 points. He gives you nothing. Jordan Poole, 17 points, but really had 11 points in the actual game. He had 6 points in garbage time. So really he had 11.
I mean, even the ones he was hitting, it was the game wasn't over yet, but it was still like the Warriors kind of had their foot on the gas.
Draymond Green can't score double digits. And I will say, we get to the place where it is obvious, it is blatant, it's almost flagrant. Let's go to the monitors. But I think that the Warriors, have come together and say, we will not have anyone take away from Steph Curry. This is Steph Curry's finals. This is Steph Curry's finals MVP. And he is, right now, I mean, averaging above 30 points per game. He is checking all the boxes. Like you said, he had some vintage moments tonight. He didn't really have to even take over this game. This game kind of got out of hand because Draymond Green was vintage and decided that I am going to take this to the next level. Let's see how far I can take it. And it worked, you know what I mean? And I understand if I was a Celtics fan, I would be rolling my eyes. But at the same time, you kind of can't, because Marcus Smart.
That's how you got here.
And Grant Williams. Yeah, exactly. You understand what he's doing. That's why they were talking about Marcus Smart in the huddle, and he's talking about Draymond Green. It's like, yeah, you're a little taken aback because someone's taking away something of yours, and he is doing it to the extreme, and it's pretty blatant. I thought he was going to get thrown out of the game. I thought he was going to get a second technical, but he didn't there. Maybe he didn't deserve it. I don't like throwing people out of games, but he definitely was antagonizing to the maximum level. I know that.
Oh, because they're not going to throw him out of the game, and he knows they're not going to throw him out of the game. Yeah. He knows he can get away with anything after he gets the first tech.
Of course. Rightfully so. I mean, you're playing the long game, I guess, at that point. But in Boston, he will get thrown out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he'll get thrown out one of those two
I think
games.
game 3 he gets thrown out.
Can you gamble on that? I would love to put money down on
the prop.
Draymond.
Let's call Cousin Sal after this. Ask him for that prop. Put in that prop.
Draymond will get thrown out in Boston. I don't know which game. I don't know which quarter. I don't know the circumstances. But he's a little too comfortable with getting the first tech than assuming they're not going to toss him. And he can just keep being a dick.
I think in Boston he gets an egregious tech. You know what I mean? Where he like pulls someone down on a layup, and then he thinks that it's just gonna be the first tech, but they throw him out then.
Oh, or he gets like the first tech isn't orchestrated. It's like a accidental tech. In the sense of, like you said, like it's like just a play that because all of his first techs are orchestrated. I do believe that. I believe that he knows exactly what he's doing, and they're all scripted. He's going off a script. He's like an offensive coordinator that's receiving the kick to open the game. He's got
the first 30 plays.
He's got his wristband on his wrist, and he's just looking at it with all the plays that he's like, all right, then I'm gonna trip him. Yep, okay, then push him over. Then I'll say that's a bitch ass call, ref. And then they'll tech.
Then I flex.
Cool, perfect. And then I flex, and then I flop on the other end. They call the charge, and then I pump up the crowd. Okay, got it. All right, here we go. All right, let's tip this thing off. What was I saying? Oh, he's gonna get. I think it's gonna be an unscripted tech where he says something that he thinks he can get away with, where he's like, "Come on, man," or something to the ref, and it's something innocent like that, and he's got the wrong ref. And the ref thinks it's the scripted tech. You know what I mean? Like, because the refs were in on it too. So the refs were like, right. This is the time I'm supposed to call the tech. Yes. Call the T. And then he loses his mind. And he's like, no, not now. And then he actually like legitimately starts yelling at them. He goes off script. They give him the second tech right away, and they toss his ass. I think that's how it's going to happen.
Honestly, it's destined to happen in Boston. And, you know, we learned that tonight. That's going to be a part of the series. Not the best news, but at the same time expected. So gear up.
Yeah. What is the vibe of this series unfolding before your eyes? Because on the one hand, I felt like the refs were calling everything early on in this game, but then they seem to swallow their whistle also, and I'm left confused by what the narrative is supposed to be coming out of the game, because there wasn't a flow to it like there was in the first game. They just can't. I'm being serious. I'm not just regurgitating tweets. This is the one time
you're not wrong at all. I mean, it's.
But let's
be honest. The Celtics were dominating the first quarter. And the refs were like, hold on a second here. We got to calm down. I think it was like 22-11 or something like that. And the refs were coming in, blowing a lot of whistles. And then, like you said, as the game opened up, they got real physical. And then then they were out.
Which I surprise, I'm a let them play kind of guy myself personally. I think like the especially in the finals, and it's not because it matters more or anything like that. It's just I'm conditioned in the NBA finals, I think, for them to let them play and to swallow the whistles. Like thinking back to even 2004, watching the Pistons beat the shit out of the Lakers. Like literally just Ben Wallace just pushing dudes around, just Ben Wallace just like taking two hands and pushing Shaq, and it's not called, and you're like, that's great defense, dude.
Yeah, great dude. This is player of the year.
And then I mean, I think that's ultimately how the Cavs came back and beat the Warriors from down 3-1, was that they were just like really physical, and the Warriors are like, Steph just kept looking at the refs like, you serious with this shit? And the refs were like, yes, we're serious.
Yeah, I'm very serious.
We're gonna let this go
7 games. Yeah.
So some of my favorite NBA finals memories, Tate, are of very physical basketball, and the guys, and I guess like the old man in me that goes crazy watching the players bitch at the refs. The nostalgic part of my brain is like the guys in the 90s and the early 2000s, they definitely did bitch at the refs, but I like to remember it as they just grew a sack. They just grew a pair and like just played through it. And we're just like, oh, so that's how the game's going to be. All right, watch this. Right. And that's like when that's my dream for the rest of these NBA finals is that the tone becomes that we're going to swallow our whistles. It's going to be physical. That doesn't mean that you can just, Draymond and who, Marcus Smart can just like push out of each other and sumo wrestle out there. But, we're going to let guys be physical. And eventually you get to a point where Jason Tatum stops looking at the refs every single time he misses a shot and asks for a foul. And instead he's just like, all right, well, screw you then. I'm going to put my shoulder down and like barrel through Draymond and dare you to call this offensive foul. And that's when it gets fun. That's when I think it gets the most fun.
I think the thing that still worries me or concerns me if I'm a Warriors fan or if I am the Warriors is that the rim protection of the Celtics is premium and the rim protection for the Warriors is minimum. You know what I mean? Like, you can just tell. Look at how many missed layups the Warriors had in this game.
They were seeing ghosts. They were seeing ghosts early in the first half.
That's the difference with this Warriors team, and the only reason why I didn't think that they could win a championship as we started the playoffs, because they didn't have a JaVale McGee. They didn't have an athletic big that they could throw in and say, okay, we can match up here for a second, right? I mean, Kevon Looney, no one on the Celtics is worried about Kevon Looney. And a lot of times Jason Tatum is going to figure out, like you said, hey, I'm matched up against a guard here. Stephen Curry is guarding me. I got to take him down to the block. You know what I mean? And it's going to become that type of series, and I worry about the rim protection of the Warriors. I also think that the Celtics have that figured out. And like you said, Al Horford, Tice, and obviously Robert Williams is a great rim protector and a great defender in general and has a great second jump. So they're going to have problems the rest of the series because of that. And if I'm the Celtics, I feel like you're in a good spot. You have home court, and you obviously have a distinct advantage that the Warriors are still trying to figure out. And they're going to keep, like, Bielitsa is nice because at least he can draw someone out to the three-point line, right? Because then you don't have someone there as secondary help on the drive. At the end of the day, they have such a distinct advantage at the rim. That worries me.
The Celtics do feel like more of a finished product in the center. Like they're more secure with what their identity is as they're playing. They're not searching for answers as much as the Warriors are.
Gary Payton was big in this game because you mentioned the physicality. Like, he actually helped bring that physicality on defense when he came into the game, and that's why they brought him in, obviously. But they needed someone to just kind of get dirty and, to use one of my favorite terms, to muck it up a bit. And Gary Payton came in there and he was like, I'll muck around. These boys don't know how I muck. And then Gary Payton Sr.'s in the crowd, as Jim pointed out, wearing a shirt with himself and Gary Payton II, which is unbelievable. That's like talking in the third person. Very him move. Gary Payton, maybe he's on the him list. We'll talk
Gary
about
Payton
that.
Sr.
Yeah, Senior, not the.
Should we talk about the him list? Because
that's more interesting, honestly, than talking about.
It is, because I will say there's a slight fear that I have that we're about to see a Celtics Heat series where it's just like blowout. It's back and forth.
It's all 3-point variants.
And
isn't that what they're saying on NBA Twitter now?
No,
they're
it's
the 3-point shot. The 3-point shot that they love so dearly.
No, it's the 9 p.m. tip time. You're saying no. Sorry, you were trying to explain what the blowouts are. I thought we were talking about why the ratings were great. That was sorry.
College basketball,
which
the amount of the NBA Finals ratings. Did you know this? Carolina Duke got triple the amount of the NBA Finals, and people were upset with me for watching the Carolina Duke game. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to watch like a popular product,
actual basketball,
a real basketball game.
And nobody in NBA circles has it in them to be like, maybe our product just kind of sucks ass. Like, maybe we should do something about this.
No, that would take too much.
Everyone's got every other reason. I saw people say like it was because Mike Breen wasn't on the call, and that was why.
Jeff Van Gundy being out. There were people at home that were like, I just cannot watch without Van Gundy.
It's the knife. I absolutely. I am 100% serious with this, Tate. NBA ratings conversations on the internet are my number one most favorite topic to watch people talk about. It is my number one most fun thing because everyone's talking in circles and everyone's like coming up with this like crazy reasons as to why the ratings are this and like illegal streams. And then like this game 2 will be, it'll be an uptick, and I'm sure game 2 will be better because game 1 was like a pretty good game, and maybe people the word spread that it was a lot of fun. Maybe people were texting their buddies like, hey,
Steph Curry is making
Steph was going off. Again. Yeah. And then so maybe more people are going to tune into game 2. I don't know, but if the ratings go up, then you're going to have people say like, see, suck it, haters. The ratings are bad. I just love it, dude. I absolutely love it. And then there's the people that are like, who cares about any of this? Why does any of this matter? And it's like, isn't this literally all that matters? Isn't this how all these people make all their money?
Yes. And they make lots of millions, right? So they need.
The NBA is brought to you by Crypto.com and MetaQuest, and you got the guy from Succession, like saying, doing the McDonald's ad, and he's like the QPC is lit for real, or what did he say? Well, I wrote it down because I felt like I'm
you,
sometimes, dude. I feel like I'm living in a world that I just don't recognize. It just hits different. That's what he said. The guy, different. The guy from Succession, Brian Cox, that's his name, right? Logan Roy.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing the voiceover, and he says the QPC just hits different. And I'm like, what is this?
I personally think Mr. K should have been in that. That should have been Mr. K.
And my point is, Tate, what is my point? I don't even know. I was just going crazy.
The point is, like, there can't be enough streams to make up for the fact that college basketball, based on the ratings, is 3 times as popular as the NBA Finals. And as everyone tries to search for the reason why, you have to relish the fact that we have one of the reasons why people started to tune in 2016 and 2015 in the first place, Stephen Curry, and he's 34 years old. So if there was ever a time for people to be tuning in, Mark Titus, now is the time. So
the only reason I care about pointing out low ratings is just to get the NBA holes to shut the hell up about college basketball for like 5 seconds.
Talking about it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I want. That's my dream, is like to be able to tweet about Arizona and Oregon playing in February and not have like some NBA hole reply and be like, who cares? That's garbage basketball. Nobody cares about any of that. That's all I'm saying here, Tate. All right, moving on. Who cares? Let's do. We got to sort out the hymns. We got to sort out who the most valuable hymn watch list here, because Jordan Poole hitting the half court shot. I think that moment is certainly the most him moment we've seen of these NBA Finals. I think Al Horford waving goodbye to
winking, waving,
but I later learned, I think someone pointed out to me that he was waving to his family, which takes away his himness. Yeah. If he was waving to
that's very them. That's very group. That's very family.
That kind of makes sense too, because I think you're waving to the crowd after game 2. Like if the Celtics win game 2, then you're waving to the Golden State crowd like, see ya, we're not going to see you again because we're going to go win 2 at home.
Yeah.
So I don't think Al Horford's him is what I'm getting at. Jordan Poole had the him moment, but is he the leader in the most valuable him clubhouse right now, Tate, for these finals? Is it Jason Tate him? Because I think,
oh gosh,
on the one hand, Jason Tatum needed more help tonight. Tate scores 28 points. Jaylen Brown has 17. Derek White has 12, and no one else is in double figures. No one else is even close to double figures. Jason Tatum carries the load. Jason Tatum is doing everything offensively for the Celtics. Jason Tatum is also minus 36 and a plus minus.
Insane.
Which again, the plus
you
minus.
You gotta remember this when he wins Finals MVP, right? Like we have to remember game 1, he's 3 for 17. That was the number. But as my Celtics friends pointed out, they were very upset with us. He did have 13 assists. So shout out to Jason Tatum. He did have 13 assists. So based on game 1 and game 2, Jason Tatum has a resume building to be Jason Tatum, aka the Finals MVP.
Right. Yeah. Right. And then he's wearing the practice gear that Kobe wore in his Celtics workout,
dude,
which takes away his entire case for me. And I think Jason Tatum could average 50 points a game, and he is no longer him. I think that this is preposterous. This is ridiculous. And anyone making the argument that this man can grieve in whatever way he wants to grieve, you're missing what's actually going on here, which is that Jason Tatum is outside of his mind. He's outside of his like if this goes to 7 and the Celtics win in game 7 and Jason Tatum has 40, we're gonna hear a story by August about how Jason Tatum has moved in to the Bryant household and just and he's just like living with Vanessa and the girls. He's raising Kobe's kids because he just like he wants to tap into that mama mentality more.
Yeah, and then Drew Hanlon, his trainer, his famous, Instagram trainer, texted him and was like, Kobe had 11 great games in the finals that he shot under 40%. That was like a tidbit that was in the broadcast. And as Jim, our producer, pointed out, if this is the case, and the Lakers did this in the bubble, they kept talking about Kobe, Kobe, Kobe until they actually won, that they didn't really talk about him as much.
Yeah.
But Kobe Finals MVP.
Why did Jason Tatum channel Kobe's spirit in 2020 and win the title then, Tate? Why didn't he channel in 2021 and win the title then? Why did he wait
I don't
3
know.
playoffs to decide this is the playoffs? I'm going to channel the spirit of my idol Kobe Bryant, and I'm going to do it in a manner that is, for the whole world to see. And then if anyone says this is kind of corny and cringeworthy, all of my fans will say that I'm just grieving. Yeah, you're a hater. And that's not performative at all. What are you talking about? It's not performative. He's not doing this for you. He's doing this for himself, Tate.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing this for himself.
Jim asked a good question. He said, what did Tatum text Kobe tonight? Good question.
Oh my God. It's just,
it's a little much. And look, I mean, we love Kobe, so it's nothing about Kobe. It's just about, like you said, the performative part of it all. And honestly, that is what the NBA's most number one calling card for most people, right? It's the drama, it's the soap opera. So I mean, this has some ripple effect there.
Yeah.
But at least I think we're gonna have some good basketball. I really do believe what you said. I think that both teams settled into the series tonight, right? Like the Celtics, now they kind of got knocked down and humbled a little bit in the finals, and I think the Warriors were like, okay, we're really playing. And now I hope we get some real good basketball finally.
Yeah, so where are we at with the him rankings? I think screw your basketball. Let's go back to the soap opera part. I think for me, I can't believe I'm saying this because I was one of the people that if you would have paused the game like some point in the first half and asked me, should Jordan Poole go back into this game or not, I would have said absolutely not. This moment is too big for him. He is.
I didn't know if he could play in the series. That's what
I was like, he might be done. That might be the last we've seen of him. He gets back out there, starts hitting everything. And in spite of my feelings in the first half, in spite of the fact, what did Jordan Poole even do in the first game?
Not much.
Yeah, nothing really, right?
Yeah, nothing.
What did he do? He had 9 points. Yeah, 9 points and 4 turnovers.
Yeah, he is basically an amazing play, or like you said, a turnover. It is hot and cold.
He was 2 for 7 and 1 for 5 from 3 in the first game. In spite of all of that, I think that seminal moment of him hitting half court shot and also not saying I'm him, which has weirdly won me over because I used to think you have to say I'm him to be him, but now I'm starting to think maybe you don't say I'm him. You let other people, like the most him thing you can say is nothing, and let others
Karl
say.
Towns, I mean, there was a tipping point when Karl Towns pointed out that he was him, and he self-declared that. I think that was the tipping point when it turned the opposite way, where you as him can no longer declare yourself as him. That was the moment.
It's like it
flipped, sliding doors.
It was the life cycle of every other meme that it was funny at first, and then now it jumped the shark. And if you're still doing it, you're a loser. And
which is why the internet is a really tough game out here. You know what I mean? You never know.
I saw Marcus Smart was saying he was mic'd up during warmups of game 1, and he was saying I'm him. I'll send you the clip of I saw it on like Instagram or stuff that it was
Marcus Smart.
NBA put it out.
He's him. That's for sure. Like there's a group of people that like Al Horford can't be him because he would never like, you know what I mean? Even if you told Al Horford, you're like, this is what him is, and he sees all the boxes and was like, I do check all those boxes. He would never say, I am definitively him. Marcus Smart would. Jaylen Brown would.
Jaylen Brown is. I'm glad you brought up Jaylen Brown because that's a sneaky pick for him, most valuable him. Of the
First quarter, Jaylen Brown was him. First quarter. He could not miss, and he was looking at the Celtics bench, and he did not mouth it, but he was saying with his eyes. He looked at Ime Udoka, and he said, "I am him."
Yeah. Anytime we talk about this, I just feel like
it's hilarious.
My brain just like slowly starts melting. Klay Thompson's not him. That's for sure. Andrew Wiggins is not him. What happened to that? But also, this is Andrew Wiggins. This is what we were talking about when he played well. Like Andrew Wiggins just kind of like floats around, waits for his opening, and then makes plays if he has.
Sometimes he never strikes, and
he never strikes.
You're like, Andrew, did you not see? And he's like, just didn't feel it tonight. Didn't.
Tonight wasn't my night.
Yeah,
it was a bad matchup. He's like, I'd catch the ball and like, Jaylen Brown would be on me. And I was like, I can't take him. Nah, I'm going to swing it. It's not my night. Bad matchup. But I was lurking. Did you see it? Did you see the way I was lurking out there? Like I was ready to attack at any time.
Draymond Green is definitely him. He's definitely.
Draymond's on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know what main character syndrome was until someone told me that like a couple years ago. And I think Draymond Green suffers from such a thing. You know what I mean? Like he is the main character of the NBA Finals in his mind. And he is going every single game. He thinks like he is the difference. And to some extent, I agree that he like tonight, Draymond Green and how he changed the game with his antics, I think was a huge difference in the game. You know what I mean? And I don't even know how to quantify it stats wise, and I really don't think you can. But Draymond Green definitely is up there as a him, in my opinion. I think
I agree with that. And I like your assessment of the main character. That he's just he really truly. Yeah. How do you feel about the podcast deal? The idea of he's probably going to do a podcast tonight after this game. Yeah. And I saw someone who was at that point. Did you send me that tweet that someone pointed out that the Warriors were up 2-0 on podcast because Iguodala was doing? Yeah. Iguodala did a podcast and Draymond did a podcast both after game one.
Yeah.
How do we feel about this? You're a little more. You're a little more with it than I am in terms of like what's acceptable, and because this doesn't fly with the old heads, obviously.
Of course. I mean, I think it's cool, quote unquote, that they control their narrative. But at the end of the day, like you and I are podcasters, and let me just be honest with you: if I was actually playing in the NBA Finals with everything on the line, I would not be doing this. You know what I mean? This would be a major. I could not. My brain simply cannot have this be something that I was focusing on and doing 100% and actually the game be 100%. You know what I mean? And I say that sincerely. And I think there's leisurely things that I would do if I was in the NBA Finals, like maybe play golf to try to keep my mind off things. But to do a podcast and like to try to explain, maybe it helps like break down and it helps like talk it out. You know what I mean? It might help in that sense. But just for me personally, I don't think that I think I would log off. I think I would tune out. I think I would just play in the finals.
It is Draymond Green doing podcasts during the NBA in between games of the NBA Finals about the NBA Finals, by the way, which like if he was doing podcasts about the Shohei Ohtani and MLB maybe, or like
it's a little bit like I said, it's a
or Formula One, or like he was doing
activity, right? It's like something that is, okay. It's an art.
But him coming on his show to talk about the game. And like you said, it's cool that he can control his own narrative, but it really is like Kevin Durant tweeting. It is the modern era of the NBA that you live in, where on the one hand, yes, power to the players, let them control the narrative, let them set the record straight. Everyone gets to talk about them. They never get to chime back. On the other hand, like just log off. Yeah, like it's Kevin. I've not to bring it back to Kevin Durant, which I seem to like to do on the show, but like Kevin Durant, every time he hits send on a tweet, I don't care what he's saying and who he's saying it to, he's a loser. You're a loser, Kevin. Like Twitter's a place for losers. Mm-hmm. That's what like you and I are on there all the time. That's how we know this. It's losers. We're all losers.
Yeah.
Everyone on Twitter. There's not a single person on December 31st when you ask them what your New Year's resolution for next year is going to be. They're like, you know what? I've been spending too little time on Twitter. I want to up those numbers. Like Twitter, every single one of us is like, I spend too much time on Twitter. It's a cesspool. It's stupid. I hate it. Mm-hmm. The point, every time you hit send on a tweet, you're a loser. And for Kevin Durant to do that, I think you're a loser. I think the same thing about podcasting, Tate. I think you and I are losers. We podcast. We know we're losers. At the end of the day, like has COVID not taught us all this, that as podcasting explodes as a business, as guys are getting the bag left and right, at the end of the day, most podcasts, you and I are doing it right now, are done over Zoom. I'm not even wearing pants right now. It's like you're going back to the no, I'm not even wearing pants. And we're back to where we started, where you're just like kind of sitting in your mom's basement.
We used to wear pants when we did podcasts. That's for sure. We've definitely gone downhill.
I don't care how much makeup you put on the pig, Tate. At the end of the day, if you're podcasting, you're probably kind of a loser.
Yeah,
you are. Like you can't get around that. I don't care how much money you're making from it. Yeah. And we're both paid handsomely. We love our employers, but we're losers, and that's my take on it. It's like,
well,
Draymond,
my take
don't be a loser. Go.
That you and I, when we were kids and we were in the driveway and we were trying to play in the NBA Finals. You know what I mean? And that's why we are losers, because we're not playing in the NBA Finals. We cannot make it there. But that is at least what we were going after. You know what I mean? Which is why it goes back to the original question. I would not be podcasting like a loser while I'm playing in the NBA Finals.
But
if you
can, but now here's the other side. If the Warriors can win and Draymond drops a podcast from the club the night that they win the title,
that is hype.
That is the himmest shit I've ever heard of, ever.
That
might make him break through and be the first podcaster ever to not be a loser.
Yeah, well, it's equivalent to
high risk, high reward game we're playing here.
Yeah, it's equivalent, I think, to dropping a podcast after Coach K's last game when he loses to North Carolina. I think that was right. It's some of the himmest stuff you've ever seen. That was a great time. But yeah, Draymond's him. I think Draymond, Jordan Poole, Jason Tatum. I think those are my three.
I think
now in the final.
Yeah, Jordan Poole I think is probably my number one, but I don't expect it to stick. He's going to fly too close to the sun. He
is Icarus to a T.
Yeah,
honestly, the chariot is already at peak point right now. Like, this is the high point. I think when he hit the shot, that's when he started climbing towards the sun. He was like, I can go higher.
Draymond is probably the best pick for the Warriors. I think Gary Payton is interesting. I think that's an interesting pick. The second. I think the Gary Payton the second, just playing the card of like, they sucked without me, now I'm back and now we're winning. Like, if they win game 3, he says that I'm the difference. It's all me. I think that's interesting. And then on the other end, it's got to be Tatum or Brown. It can't be Marcus Smart. Robert Williams could be interesting. Yeah, but he doesn't have the demeanor really. He's just kind of like,
he might quiet dude that goes about his business. The ferocity of the blocks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just think at some level you're like, man, this guy is.
Do I have a right read on him that he's like, he plays it super ferocious, but also seems like he doesn't say a word?
Yeah, he seems very meek and mild-mannered. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He seems like.
But he's also like.
Yeah, exactly. He also swats the hell
an
out
absolute
of the
beast out there.
Also, I'm pretty sure when he came out of the draft, he was listed as 7 feet tall, but now he's 6'9". I don't understand it, but. They are so terrified of him. And even sometimes when he's not in the game, they're still worried about going up for layups. I've never seen a team miss so many layups the Warriors did in this game. So,
are we worried about Clay?
I'm not worried about him. I think it just kind of, you understand what the current version of Clay is. You know what I mean? When he went down, I knew that I would never see the Clay that was before, and I really, appreciated that player. But I also am impressed that he can still play at the level that he's playing at, to be honest with you. I didn't even think he'd be able to do what he's doing right now. I didn't think he'd be able to start in finals games and be legitimate the 2 again. I thought he would have to come out and be like 6-man.
Be like a Derrick Rose role where he shows flashes every so often, but you're not necessarily.
Like, he starts in big games, but he isn't the starter. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that would be more like that. So I'm actually more impressed with Clay than I think most people are. But I don't think we're ever gonna. I mean, he might have a game in this series where he goes off, but I don't think it's not going to be consistently that, and that's why Poole has to put up points. He has to.
That's so sad. Clay was my favorite.
Clay's the best.
Clay was my favorite of everyone on the Warriors.
It's hard not to like Clay. Everybody likes Clay.
Let's take a break. Come back. I want to talk about Quinn Snyder and what the ripple effect of this is, because I know that you have thoughts about this.
Oh,
I do too. All right. Let's can we talk about Quinn Snyder a little bit? Resigning out of the blue. Is it out of the blue? Not really out of the blue. Was it actual resignation? Was this a Mark Turgeon situation where he's stepping down, but then there's going to be in the next couple weeks a lot of pointing of fingers of whether he was fired or stepped down or somewhere in the middle. Anyway, it was sort of ish out of the blue. The timing was weird because like I just like
Yeah.
don't I'm focused on the NBA finals, and I didn't think that I was going to wake up today and have to process the Coach K successor power rankings and whether Brad Stevens is going to be the next coach of the Utah Jazz.
Ooh.
But here we are, Tate. Here we are. So I will start with your interest in this.
Yeah. Brad Stevens looks like John Stockton, kind of. You know what I mean? So I could see him being the coach of the Utah Jazz. Yeah, my thoughts are this.
Or Jeff Hornacek to me.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
He's more of a Jeff Hornacek.
He is like you Stockton body type, Hornacek face. Yeah. I like that. Okay, so that's Brad Stevens.
You're building the Red Auerbach perfect player.
Pistol Pete Daniels.
Pistol Pete Daniels. Larry Bird's jump shot. Jeff Hornacek's face. John Stockton's body.
George
Bob
Michael's
Cousy's
footwork.
Will to win. Paul Arizon's heart.
Oh man,
just different from the will to win.
Dude.
And Dolph Shays is
Bobby Jones's anticipation on defense. Yeah, that'd be a great player. I do say this about Quinn Snyder. Quinn Snyder's a good basketball coach, right? We can all admit that. I mean, I make jokes at the expense of Quinn Snyder, but I at the end of the day know he's a really good basketball coach. This, story started because the Lakers had some interest in Quinn Snyder, and then he reciprocated some interest, which, kind of points to, hey, maybe I'm not happy in my current situation. So, reading the tea leaves just sounds like, hey, we're losing. We keep winning in the regular season, and we keep hitting this roadblock, and we're never going to get over it. And everyone, like you said, points fingers. So what are we really going to do at the end of the day? I think Quinn Snyder, I think he bent the knee. I think he stepped down. I don't think it's a full turgid. I don't think he quit on these guys. I think he just said to himself, maybe I'm not the man for this job. But we all know now that Donovan Mitchell obviously wasn't the one that wanted him to leave, because there were some people that thought that Donovan Mitchell maybe was, wanting a different coach. But that was not the case. He responded within the 5 minutes that the story came out. He was like,
that was weird to me too. That was weird.
I was like, what the? I was like, who did he give this statement to? And was he in a fairy tale in the woods when they asked him?
It's always weird to me when the Woj types out there say that the sources are saying, or the word is that, quote, that Donovan Mitchell is, quote, unnerved by this, or or they use specific words and then they put them in quotes. And whenever I read those reports, I think, so this is if this isn't a direct quote from Donovan Mitchell, then what are we doing here?
Yeah, then what are these quotes? You know what I mean?
What are the quotes? Yeah, why this verbiage?
Why couldn't you just say Donovan Mitchell texted me that he is unnerved by this move?
Yeah, or just why not just be like, I talked to Donovan Mitchell and he's not happy about this. That's what you hit send on the tweet for. Yeah. You write that. You don't say. Trying to read through those tea leaves is always very confusing. Quinn Snyder, not a Mark Turgeon move, because it comes at the end of the season. So we should say I apologize to Quinn to Coach Snyder for likening him to a man who quit on his team in the middle of the season because fans were saying mean things to him at games. But yeah, nonetheless, I agree with you that it does feel like the Jazz they plateaued as a franchise. They have to figure out where to go from here. And maybe it was just a case of Quinn Snyder's I took this job because I thought we were going to win a championship. That's clearly not going to happen now. Yeah. Maybe I don't want to live in Utah anymore. I don't want to I'm going to go do something else. And maybe one of those other things is throw his hat in the ring for taking over for Coach K when Coach K finally retires. What do you think about that, Tate?
Ooh.
What do you think about that?
I don't hate it, because the Coach K successor power rankings always needs an update, because Coach K, like we said, just had a town hall in Durham for people to honor his legacy. He is still listed as the current head coach. In fact, our friends at Fox Sports, CBB on Fox, they put out a graphic. Which coach would you like to have as the cover athlete on the NCAA fictional video game? And it was all active coaches and Coach K. So I took that as, my answer was Roy Williams, since I guess you could put in inactive coaches, but Coach K was still listed as the coach according to our beautiful friends CBB on Fox. So in that spirit, let's jump into the Coach K Successor Power Rankings, which still at the number one spot, formerly known as Coach K. Mr. K is number
Mr.
one
K
on the
himself.
Coach K. Mr. K, though he does not want to coach, he is still number one. If you break the glass and you need a coach, Mr. K is right there. Number 2 on the Coach K Successor Power Rankings. Again, this is with Quinn Snyder factored in. So a lot of people jumping up with joy. Will Quinn Snyder move up the board? No. Number 2 on the list, Coach. The dog is number 2 on the Coach K
Coach K
Power Rankings.
Mr. K is 1. Coach K is 2. Got it.
Mr. K number 1. The dog, Coach K, is number 2 on the Coach K Successor Power Rankings. Congratulations. The K9 that he is cultivating and
the K9.
Yes, that he is creating will be smarter, will be sharper, and will be a better leader than any man this world has ever seen. It will be a K9 unlike any other. So Coach K, number 2.
Coach K9.
Coach K9. Number 3 on the Coach K Successor Power Rankings, JJ Redick. JJ Redick has enlightened all of us to how to actually talk about basketball, how to actually command respect on a media platform, and to do it with the type of
when is Richard Jefferson gonna snap on JJ Redick? When is Richard Jefferson gonna what's the meme of the guy that I see get tweeted where the guy's like, you stole my bar line for line, or you stole my what is that? Explain that to me. Explain that to all their white people listening at home.
Yeah, so Soulja Boy is the artist in this video. And Soulja Boy is obviously one of the first internet artists, right? Rap artists that you were kind of like, I have LimeWire, and somehow this song by Soulja Boy, Crank Dat, is downloaded, even though I didn't download it. And I listened to it, and I'm like, it's kind of fire. What else does Soulja Boy make? But anyways, Soulja Boy went on a radio show, Charlemagne the God Show, and said, I think it's Power 106, and said that Drake stole his flow. He's like, Drake stole my whole flow, line for line, bar for bar, about one of his popular songs. And everyone kind of rolls their eyes to that because obviously, Drake is Drake, Soulja Boy is Soulja Boy, but Soulja Boy is also an originator, you know what I mean? So he's like, Drake's actually a thief in this sense. So ipso facto, there we go. That's the
okay. So what Tay just explained in this scenario, Richard Jefferson is Soulja Boy and JJ Redick is Drake. Yeah, yes. That's when is that going to happen? Because I think if I was Richard Jefferson and I was watching people just slobber all over JJ about how it's so refreshing to have a guy who played in the NBA not too long ago, was beloved by everybody he played with, is such a natural fit into the media landscape, teaches me a lot about the game, but also has great chemistry with a lot of the people that he's calling these games with. And everyone was saying this, and I was Richard Jefferson, I was nodding along, and then they said, and that's why I think JJ Redick is the best in the business right now. I would snap. I would lose my mind. Yeah. And
well, it goes back to what I've always said. Who is benefiting off the idea of quote unquote rings culture, and that we have to get rid of rings cultures, right? People like JJ, losers. You know what I mean? So JJ has never won anything. So he doesn't want champions like Richard Jefferson to get the actual bump that they deserve by being a champion, because he's like, wait, that's rings culture. You know what I mean? We don't do that. We
don't do rings culture.
And it's like, well, yeah, I'm sure the losers said they don't want to do rings culture. I wouldn't either. I wouldn't want to talk about all of the losses. I would like to talk about the winners.
So JJ's the champion of efficiency culture, of PER, of
trying to kill rings culture.
Kill rings culture by saying, yeah, sure, they lost in the finals, but if you look at his PER, his per 48,
he actually won. Yes,
he actually
won. Beat the Warriors. If you
look, Luka did beat the Warriors. Yeah, he did. But JJ Redick's third on your.
He's third on the Coach K Successor Power Rankings. Apologize for the tangent. Number 4 on the Coach K Successor Power Rankings, coming in hot. He's fresh on the market. His name is Quinn Snyder. Now, Quinn Snyder will be a little bit older at that point, but Coach K might have to turn to someone. Mr. K might have to turn to someone who's, got the cachet in the NBA. If Duke needs to kind of revamp the program, Quinn Snyder's right there. And number 5 on the Coach K Successor Power Rankings, he's still there, folks. You don't know his name, and you won't know it until he's actually taken some losses away from from John Shire, Mike Schrage. Mike Schrage is number 5 on the Coach K Successor Power Rankings because his name is Mike and he'll do whatever Coach K tells him to do. And that is really important to the Coach K Successor Power Rankings. Will you be literally my dog, a.k.a. number 2 on the list, and do what I tell you to do? Or will you be my lap dog and do what I tell you to do? And that is your Coach K Successor Power Rankings.
I love it. I love it. It's good to be back. I miss the Coach K.
People thought that would die. You know what I mean? And
it'll never die because it won't. And people will listen to this podcast and be like, "Man, you guys just keep fucking that chicken, don't you? Talking about Coach K. When will you stop talking about this man? When he retires, that's when I'll stop talking about him.
When he is not the.
That's my promise. My promise to the American people is when Mike Krzyzewski is no longer coaching Duke basketball, I will stop talking about him. And until then, unfortunately, here we are. Brad Stevens to Utah.
Ooh.
I've said it 3 times now.
It would be a really smart move for Brad, I think.
I'm trying to think of what, because it doesn't feel like a permanent move. It doesn't feel like the end. So I'm trying to think of like what he's buying time for. What is he then? Is he waiting for John Shire to fall on his face?
No, he's waiting for Butler. He's waiting for Thad to have his 7-year run. Thad is a 7-year man. That is a 7-year man. I agree with you.
Man.
He is going to be there for 7 years. Brad Stevens is going to go to Utah for a 4-year rebuild. He's going to have 3 years of fun with that team. They're going to come up short in the conference finals. Everyone's going to be like, this guy just cannot get it done. He's going to go, you know what? F you. You know where I get it done? In Indiana at Butler. And then Thad's going to pass him the torch, and everyone's going to be like, you know what's a really sick school and a really cool place to play? Butler. You know what's better than Duke? Butler.
I love this. All right. You did it. That's all I needed. I needed help getting there. I was trying to figure out.
And you know who else is going to the Utah Jazz? Here's your, go ahead and put it out there to the world. This is reading the tea leaves. Gordon Hayward to the Utah Jazz. Gordon Hayward
back to the Jazz.
Danny Ainge.
Brad Stevens to Utah.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, my God.
Red Auerbach is so jealous of the Utah Jazz. Red Auerbach hologram to the Utah Jazz.
I'd put Red Auerbach on my my video game of if I had to put an active coach. On
that would be Red Auerbach. That is a great we should do that Red Auerbach versus Coach K, legacy plays. Like how much can you get out of one man? How much can you milk?
Is there anything else? Should we just get the shout-outs, closeouts, and rev this thing up?
I think we should just get it. Yeah, we should just get to shout-outs and closeouts. I mean, this is we could talk all night about the NBA Finals, but nobody wants to hear that.
Nobody wants to hear that at all. Nobody wants to watch the NBA Finals, as it turns out. Nobody ultimately cares. And I even as we talk about it, we sit down here. Like, I was excited to do the show. I kind of talked myself in a circle and got to a point where I was like, "Am I excited for the Finals moving forward? I don't know. Dude, I something's happening to me, dude. I really think it's my birthday coming up. Just like got me in a headspace. It's like, because 35 is a landmark, that's when you can run for president, Tate. And I remember being little and thinking, like, once you turn 35, you've ascended to the final.
Yeah,
that's it. There's no other landmarks, like, because then you can do anything. And I'm about to turn 35, and it's got me shook, and it's got me, as it pertains to the basketball part of it. It's like I woke up one day and I was 81 years old, and I just all I see, it's the Stan Marsh South Park show where everything's shit. The South Park episode where everything's shit. And that's how I feel watching these NBA playoffs at various times. It's just like and watching Steph in the first quarter in game 1, watching Jordan Poole hit one shot tonight.
Yeah, it gave you enough juice.
That one shot. I was like, I feel something again. I'm finally alive once again. But I'll be honest. Like, I don't know if we didn't have to do these shows, I don't know how. Maybe there's a world which I'm not even watching these finals, and that's like insane to me. Like, I game 3 comes around, I got plans or something. I got dinner plans, and I'm just like, I don't need to watch it. I'll catch game 4.
Yeah,
that's insane. That's where I've arrived in the current landscape of the NBA, and I know it's probably a me problem, but. What if the ratings tell me it's not? What if the ratings say I'm right?
Yeah, if the ratings ever lied. The funniest part is that they're just going to shove streaming numbers down our face. And As you and I both know, streaming numbers, I mean, they're absolute frauds. Like in the world of fraud power rankings, like
Streaming numbers are number one.
They are number one fraud power rankings. The type of numbers that people used to tell us that we would do streaming, even you and I, be like, I mean, that's impressive, but what does that mean? Because if we're doing that, what is Ryan Seacrest doing? You know what I mean? Like, and can you explain these streams? No one can explain the streams. So we go back to rate.
How many retweets does the NBA the best highlights from game 1 and 2? How many retweets did those get? Did that factor into the?
It did.
The ratings. Did they factor that in?
They take the views of those videos that got retweeted by all the people, and they're like, "You got 10 million views." And you're like, "Did it? 10 million?"
How many NBA All-Stars were watching the finals and tweeted about the finals as they were watching the finals? Because that's
what LeBron tweeted about podcasting. He was like, "I'm going to go on a podcast."
Exactly, losers podcast.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
podcasting's for losers. All right, shout outs.
I want to. This is another sport and altogether, and not even a sport that I really play that much. But shout out to Rafa Nadal. You know what I mean? This man is on a tear, and I woke.
I need this made sense for me. Like Clay, obviously Clay and grass are vastly different, but I really don't understand what makes a guy good on clay versus grass. I guess I could just Google this. File this under things.
Yeah,
I can Google.
I am not like the guy to give you that breakdown, but I do know that Rafa is a god, and no one is ever going to win 14. And a few years ago, I'm enough in the know. Like my mom loves tennis and everything. It was, I guess, believed to be by most people that he was pretty much done. And the fact that the man won the Australian Open and won the French Open, it's pretty impressive. 36.
He's got the Wilt Chamberlain deal going on that I talk about all the time, where he's too good. If he won like 5 straight French Opens, that's pretty sick. And we're all like, dude, this guy's a legend. Like he might be GOAT status. When you win 14, it becomes less for me. It becomes less about how great you are. And there's like something going on here. It's like, I just want to get to the bottom of, like, does everybody else suck? Or is there something about the court? Obviously, like once you've won that many, I can no longer just appreciate the greatness in front of me. I have to now get answers, Tate. You know what I mean? That's where he's at. When you get that great, I'm just like, all right, explain this to me. I'm officially curious. How are you doing this?
It's honestly insane. And like I said, I'm not a tennis expert, but I watched the guy and I've watched him win. I mean, if not all 14, I feel like I've watched all 14, and every single time I'm exactly like you said. I'm just bewildered by one person dominating on a surface and everyone else. Like I'm a Federer guy, you know. I'm actually a Pete.
Oh, you are.
I'm a Pete Sampras guy, but Pete Sampras kind of, I think, passed his torch on to to Federer. Kind of the same, we don't want to talk about that. But in general, I'm a Federer guy. But watching Nadal, I always end up pulling for him on clay because I'm like, man, this is just different, just amazing. So shout out to him.
I think I'm still an Andy Roddick guy.
Who as an American wasn't an Andy Roddick guy? I love the serve. My brother, he wore the hat like Andy Roddick and served like that. I respected it, but at the same time, Agassi and Pete Sampras were way cool.
Well, Andy Roddick, his whole deal was like chicks dig the long ball. Like he was that era of like
he had no other
commercials
game.
existed.
He was basically just like, I am going to ace you, and if I'm not acing you, I'm going to have a bad attitude because I'm not acing you. Yeah.
And like that was the era that I remember him being relevant, was when there were literally commercials talking about how chicks dig the long ball. And then you watch Andy Roddick just smoke the shit out of these serves, and he's like, chicks dig 6 serves, and you're like, are you sure, Andy? Don't they dig winning? He's like, look at who I'm married to, and you're like, great point, Andy.
Great point. Brooklyn Dexter, number 1.
Chicks. Yeah, good call there. I don't think anybody's gonna pass Rafael Nadal's 14. One, because that's an absolutely absurd number of championships to win for one tournament, and 2, because kids don't play tennis. Tate. Pickleball is the sport of the future. Tennis is dead. R.I.P. tennis. I want to shout out Michael Beasley, who is going back to China. He is back to China, right? He was already in China.
He is literally doing the meme when people say you're going to get a new deal with the Shanghai Sharks. Like, Michael Beasley literally got a new deal with the Shanghai Sharks.
Yes. And in fact, Yeah, Michael Beasley's going to play with the Shanghai Sharks, and in fact, I am amending my him most valuable him power rankings. Michael Beasley's number one still of these NBA Finals. Like Michael Beasley announcing
getting in the news cycle of the finals.
getting in the news cycle the day of a finals game officially counts as being a part of these NBA Finals, and that's a him move. Michael Beasley will forever
sign at any time, but he was like, "I'll sign during the NBA."
Dude,
finals.
I'm signing during the finals, and I know y'all are going to talk about it because I'm him. He is him, dude. He is. Yeah. He really is. He might. If there's one player, I guess Stephon Marbury didn't get it done. So I was going to say if there's one guy who could get me to like try to figure out how to watch games in China. Greg played in China for a year.
Yeah.
You know, Greg, I remember talking to Greg
Tyler Hansbrough. I mean, he played over there. I mean, there's
I'm not
Lawson.
You know, I mean, I like these guys, but I'm not like trying to seek them out. But watching Michael Beasley drop like 63 points. Just yelling, I'm him.
Jimmer was probably the last one that people were actually streaming. You know what I mean? Not to go back to streaming numbers.
Yeah.
I think that they were getting lots of streams for Jimmer.
It's inverted. Like the Jimmer games happen in China, and the local television ratings in China are terrible for Jimmer games. And then like everyone that loves the Chinese Basketball Association is like, yeah, but the streaming numbers coming from America were insane.
Americans love Jimmer.
They love Jimmer.
Keep signing him.
You wouldn't believe the streaming numbers coming out of the USA.
100.
Michael Beasley could get. But Greg told me that Greg didn't get re-signed. Greg signed like a 1-year deal. I forget what team he played for. The the Dragons, the Jingsu Dragons or something like that. Okay. It was something Dragons. And if I remember right, he put up good numbers, like 20 and 15 or something like that a game. But it wasn't anywhere. They didn't re-sign him because it wasn't anywhere close to what he needed to be. And he explained to me that in the Chinese league, you can basically only sign like 2 or 3 foreigners per team.
Yes,
the rest of the team have to be China. Yeah. It's 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you already know this, but I'll explain to the listeners. You can only sign 2. So the 2 that you sign, you're expecting them to average like 50 a game. Exactly. You're expecting them to come in, and if they don't average like 50 a game, you cut them and you go get another guy that's from the NBA and you bring him over.
It has name recognition. You're basically going up against college stars that are like getting like funneled over, and you're like, damn, I'm getting replaced by Tyler Hansbrough.
All of these teams are like just absurdly top heavy, and the 2 dudes at the top are like
dominating,
all American / long NBA veteran type guys, and then the rest of the teams are made up of just like malnourished Chinese people that
Stephon Marbury
learned to play basketball because they watched Yao Ming play a couple times.
Sick.
Amazing. What a game.
And they don't watch the NBA over there anymore. That's the other part of it.
That's right.
The streams are down and the ratings are down because of that as well. So yeah.
Well, congrats to Michael Beasley on that. Congrats to Jaylen Brown. Shout out to him for signing with the Donda Academy, by the way. Do we have, Jim, do you have thoughts on this? You're a Donda expert. Do you want to chime in and explain to the people what this means? Is this a big signing for Donda, for Team Donda?
Oh, yeah, it was inevitable. You know, he's part of the team. Welcome to the family.
Welcome to the family. Oh, man. And Aaron Donald, right? That was the other big signing.
Yeah, he's teaching gym class.
Aaron Donald signed with Donda Academy? Yeah. Donda Sports.
Aaron Donald is both contemplating retirement and also the first football signing at Donda Academy. And this actually, no, he's the second because the first is Antonio Brown, who also quit football, and he is in the football division. I don't know. That's Donda Sports.
My God. I want to shout out the Carleton Ravens, by the way. Canada's finest. The finest college, the dynasty of college basketball up in Canada. They are apparently going to be playing the Kentucky Wildcats in the Bahamas in August.
Wow. Upset alert.
Yeah. Yeah. How do we gamble on that game? Should we go to that game? Can I go to we got to get our guy Jordan Henry back on the show after that to break it, or before that maybe after they win.
After they win. Yeah, let's get a preview and a post game.
I think they're gonna win, dude. Isn't this their thing? Carleton beats every single offseason that they play high major.
I mean, they beat Duke, right? And then Duke wiped the score. Isn't that what happened?
Didn't my memory of Carlton, and I could have this wrong, but if I am wrong, please nobody correct me because it's one of my funniest memories that I have of college basketball. My memory, my number one memory of Carlton is that Mike Daum went vegan, and then went up to Canada and played Carlton.
Yeah,
and got his ass kicked and was getting pushed around in an exhibition game. And he comes back from that trip and he's like, "I've made a huge mistake. I'm no longer vegan."
I remember this. This was from a preview of one of our seasons because we'd reported in the offseason that Mike Daum was going vegan and we were both concerned. And then he literally got roasted and was like, "I need to get my meat back." And the rest is
I need to get my meat back. What's Mike Daum doing, by the way?
He's playing in China. I think he's playing in China.
I was gonna say, what Chinese team is he on?
He's 45 and 20 in China.
Oh my god! Remember when he also the stories I remember about Mike Daum are hilarious because none of them are true. But like the canon I have in my head of like Mike Daum going vegan and then the Carlton Ravens.
The character that is Mike Daum is a lot larger. You know what I mean?
And then the other story is that he got Tim Miles fired from Nebraska because he was supposed to transfer to Nebraska, but then didn't. And then Tim Miles basically wasn't as successful as he was going to be if Mike Daum came. Because if Mike Daum came to Nebraska, they were definitely going to the Sweet 16 at least.
Agreed.
And Tim Miles signs like a 9-year extension after that.
And he's
instead he's at San Jose State. Mike Daum is at the Throna Basket in
is that Overtime Elite?
Italian professional basketball team.
Okay.
Overtime Elite. They got a clip art ass looking logo. I will say that.
Well, there's a lot of basketball teams like that out in the world.
They got a terrible logo. Okay, what else? Any other shout outs?
That's all I got in my list of shout outs. I was really just stunned by Rafa Nadal. That was really my big thing for the day.
Tommy Lloyd, 5-year extension, $1 million raise. Shout out to him at Arizona. Been there for 1 year. They got it done in 1 year, and they said his salary went up by $1 million. Signed a 5-year extension. Shout out to him for that.
Love that.
Yeah, shout out to the Minions. I honestly did. They showed the trailer for a new movie. I was like, we're serious with this. Like the Minions. The Minions are the Formula One talk. They're like Formula One talk where I was like, I thought we were kidding this whole time. And this has been going on for years.
Yeah.
And then it just hit me like recently that you guys have been serious this whole time.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, Americans only know one language, but there's a chance that they would learn a second language, and it's not one that would be useful. It would be the Minion language, and that is. I truly do not understand because I watched the trailer and I'm like, this is not even close to funny or interesting. Not even kind of. Well, isn't the new movie figuring out? I don't want to get too deep into this, but from what I get,
no spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah, the new movie is like the origin story. It's like a prequel. It's like the origin story of Groot. What's his name?
Gru.
Yeah. So this is the origin story of Steve Carell, is what I'll call him. So this is like, in case you don't know how they got evil, here's them being evil.
Remember when Steve Carell dressed up like that Gru guy and went on Ellen's show dressed like a real life version?
Yeah, that was great. That's you talk about marketing for a movie. Like, it's still
that's what I'm saying, man. The older I get,
but there's 0% chance that Steve Carell is dressing up and going anywhere for the rise of Gru. You know what I mean? Like, Steve Carell did not sign off on I mean, maybe get paid for the rise of Gru. He did some voiceover work. But
how many of these movies have they made?
It's got to be at least 4, right? There's maybe 3 or 4. I remember when the first one came out, I thought it was like a DVD like bonus special. You know what I mean? Where it's like 5-minute shorts.
No, that's how it was one of those deals where if you subscribe to like Disney Plus, for example, and you're scrolling through, you can see that they have all these like recommended movies, and it's like Hercules 6 and Snow White 3, The Return of Snow White. And you're like, I don't remember these movies ever coming out. And then you start to like look up what they are, and it's like kind of like an offshoot studio at Disney. It was like the back closet. It was all the like PAs that worked at Disney, and they gave him like one little office that was a converted closet, and they're like, make another Snow White movie for us.
Yeah.
Use the clips.
Use the clips from the
first. Use the clips from the first one. Use the deleted scenes and make a new one.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the deal with the Minions, where it was like, yeah, they are making. I didn't know they were making full length feature films that have wide theatrical releases. I don't know how this slipped through my cracks, but apparently it did. My cracks were not full of Minions. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
Not
and
Minions
like
my
in one
cracks.
sense, like Tom Cruise has saved movies, but in the other sense, Minions is killing movies. So you really don't know where we are. You know what I mean? It depends how you look at it, right? If you're looking at Tom Cruise and Top Gun, movies are saved. If you're looking at Minions, whew.
Who's the Tom Cruise of the NBA Finals, and who's the? Okay, I'm kidding. Let's get the hell out of here. That's it.
I'm trying to think. I mean, Steph Curry's Tom Cruise.
We'll be back Wednesday. We're gonna do another show after Game 3. If Game 3 is a blowout, we got to figure something out though.
Yeah,
because I can't fake the enthusiasm if Game 3 is a blowout. Like I'm excited now
we go
because
to hockey. We've been talking about it. We've been toying.
I know. I think we just do it. Game one Celtics Warriors was actually a great game. It was captivating. Steph was awesome. The fourth quarter the Celtics had was intriguing. They let the guys play. It checked a lot of boxes. Game 2. If we're being complete, if Game 2 was Game 1, I would be really worried about these series.
Yeah,
I would be really worried. But now it's even. Now the Warriors got a little juice, so now I'm back in. But if Game 3 sucks, we might be a hockey podcast.
Yeah, we'll be a hockey because at the end of the day, this is not called talk about whatever basketball is going on. Because if that were true, we'd be talking about Jimmer Fredette in the CBA.
It's true.
A lot more. You know what I mean? We can talk about whatever we want.
We'd be doing our TBT previews. We'd be doing that. But we're not going to do that on this program. No. We're going to talk about whatever the hell we want because we're the bad boys of podcasting. Because again, podcasting is full of losers.
Draymond, stop the podcast.
Stop podcasting, Draymond. I want to stop podcasting. We all want to. I want to stop podcasting and tweeting. That's what
I want to trade places with Draymond. Can I go play?
Yes, I'll switch. Yeah, take my please.
Take my seat.
Take my seat. I would love to go.
Tribute.
I would love to go start shit in NBA Finals games and like not actually
for sure
contribute much of anything.
If you told me I could just go out there and I just have to like try to get Marcus Smart or Al Horford thrown out of the game, I'm like for sure.
And then you have to and then as long as you have like one really strong closeout where you have a hand in Jaylen Brown's face as he's shooting and he bricks it, or Jason Tatum's face as he's shooting, then that's all you need. Everyone's like, damn, dude.
Yeah, good D, good close.
Clamps.
Yeah, and then I need one pump fake, and then I jump into him and get 3 free throws, so I get some points. And then didn't get me out of the game. Then I'm throwing up the tired signal as I'm running back on defense. After I make 2 out of 3 free throws, I'm running back on defense, putting up the tired signal.
We should do maybe on Wednesday if it's a blowout. We just spend the entire show discussing how many points we would have scored in that game.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
And how we would have scored them.
Yeah, yes. How would I have maneuvered to get points?
How would I have attacked Game 3? All right, we're leaving for real this time. Goodbye, everybody. See you Wednesday.
Bang.